All right, let's get to the tight ends, the guys at the top of our rankings. With Kittle out, unfortunately, we have Kelsey, Waller, and Andrews as our top three. I think you can make an argument for several guys going in that number three spot. But Daigle, where are you on the top three?
I have it the same. Kelsey as the superior tight end one every single week he plays, Waller, and then Andrews. But I would be listening if someone wants to pitch Hawkinson without Galladay over Mark Andrews.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I'm teasing for later. I'm not going to pitch Hawkinson. I
Okay.
will I will pitch someone else though as the number three overall tight end. But Daigle, who are you high on at the position?
I am higher on. I keep diving deep here for tournament plays here, but I am higher on Logan Thomas because he has a quarterback that is at least accurate now. 7 of his 8 targets with Kyle Allen the past 2 games have been deemed catchable at Pro Football Focus, whereas through the first month of the season, he was still running. He was getting elite usage and running over 90% of routes on Haskins dropbacks. The issue is his targets, only 16 of 24 were charted as catchable. So at least now he's still running 75% of routes. It's a little bit of a decrease as he's been held in to block more. But I also think that's because of what game script was shown them to Washington the past 2 games. So with similar loose usage I expect in this game and just a more accurate quarterback, I like going back to Logan Thomas finally.
Logan Thomas, love it. He certainly has come on since we saw Kyle Allen ascend to the number one quarterback spot in Carolina. Rayvon, I'm kicking it to you for the money spot. Make it count. Steal the player Sean wants.
Please don't. Please don't.
Who are you high on at the tight end position?
I don't know if this is going to be the guy Sean's going to go with. It seems pretty chalky, but I love Noah Fant this week. You know, he was back up to 75% routes run per dropback. And you're going against this Atlanta Falcon defense, number 30 in DVOA to tight ends, according to Football Outsiders, and giving up the second most schedule adjusted yards per game, 67.3. So Okwuegbunam is still there playing behind Fant, but Fant was right back up to his normal usage. And excluding the game where Fant got hurt and the game where Fant came back, his routes run per dropback have been 71, 85, 83, 75. So there's a chance that he could get up into that 80% range with this being with a game that Denver has to score some points. So this could be a monster week for Noah Fant.
Raybon, 100% with you. That's the guy I have ranked number 3 for all of the reasons that you outlined. And I'm also right now tentatively projecting that Tim Patrick, the top perimeter receiver right now for the Broncos, projecting that he again misses this game. And so if he comes back, I'll end up adjusting the rankings, move Fant down a little bit. But if Patrick is out, I think we once again will see Fant really operate as, if not the number one receiving option in that offense, one of the top receiving options in the offense. So with you there, 100%. Sean, who do you like?
So I love Hayden Hurst this week at 4,100. Calvin Ridley is like that this week, so pour one out for my 90 to 1 bet that he'll lead the league in receiving yards. I think that bet is toast, but it gave some satisfaction for the first few weeks here. But this could lead to defenses double teaming Julio and opening things up for these periphery receivers. I mean, good luck trying to invest in guys like Russell Gage, Christian Blake, Zacchaeus, Brandon Powell. You can figure that one out. I'm going to go with Hayden Hurst. I think he's going to see more targets this week. And just given how the tight end position has just been decimated, I think that gives him a pretty high floor and ceiling combo this week. So I love him at 4,100 in DFS.
Daigle, who are you low on?
I knew one of them would fall out eventually. And what has happened with the Titans, who can clearly only support 2 receivers, is that the bottom has fallen out on Jonnu Smith in this span. 4 catches the past 3 weeks, 8 targets in that span. And Corey Davis, of course, has only been back healthy now from COVID list 2 weeks. and he's seen 10 targets in both the games the past 2 weeks. And so I think Jonnu Smith is the loser here. It was what I was always concerned about. But what has happened instead is that they're jamming A.J. Brown targets. So while it's good for A.J. Brown, who I thought would be dealing with this from 4 to 6 targets per game, like last year when he was playing with Ryan Tannehill, that has clearly become Jonnu Smith, who also is still running just barely more routes than Anthony Firkser on Tannehill's dropbacks. So that's the player I will be fading again this week, even though I had him on FanDuel last week. So maybe I'm just still angry.
Raybon, who are you low on?
Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham had some life. He was kind of like borderline streamer ranking, in that 10 to 14 range for a lot of the year, but he ran a season low 59% of routes per dropback last week in that Chicago Saints game. And that was a revenge game for him. So that was even, that was kind of troubling. Cole Kmet, you have a rookie behind him who is playing better. And I think they're going to continue to give him more snaps. And that's something that, we've talked about on this pod a bunch, but these rookies this time of the year, it's like, all right, they've had a month of what you normally have for preseason. Like you're going to start to see rookie snap counts, routes per dropback, market shares, all those kind of things, kind of progressively increase. So Graham is a guy that I would just be, all hands off, from here on out, basically. And another guy is Trey Burton. He only ran a route on 42% of the dropbacks last week with Mo Ali Cox back. They're in this like 3-way timeshare now. And even though Burton's been getting some carries and scoring some fantasy points, if he continues to play at this current usage clip, that's going to regress to the mean sooner than later.
Sean, what do you think? What do you think about Jimmy Graham?
We could just skip this segment because, I had Jimmy Graham written up
Oh.
for literally everything that Raybon mentioned. I thought, they'll use him pretty heavily in the first half of the season, which they did. He exceeded expectations. Cole Kmet would take over a little bit more of the work in the second half, and that appears to be what the direction is going. I was going to mention the, routes run per drop back, and then I thought, I'll mention Trey Burton. Nope, Raybon took that. So just let's go to the prop. Or Freeman, you can talk about who you're low on.
That was great. Raybon, fantastic job there. I am relatively low on Jared Cook, under the assumption that we see Emmanuel Sanders come back and potentially Michael Thomas. But even if we don't, I think Emmanuel Sanders returning will be enough to diminish the targets that we see going to Jared Cook, who really hasn't been getting all that many targets this season anyway. So I think it's pretty easy to be low on Jared Cook this week. Sean, give us the prop.
Let's go with Mark Andrews at Indy. His receiving yard prop is always interesting because he really doesn't put up much yardage to speak of. Will that change this week? That's the question. I have his over-under at 43.5 yards.
I will take the over, but I am at 46. So it's not like a drastic increase.
Yeah, I guess the real question is, so he's going to go for 3 catches for 46 yards. Will he score 0 touchdowns or 2? That's really the question.
Yeah, that's the real prop here.
Yeah, I have him at 48, so I'll go over. Oh, he's in a tough matchup. I mean, Indy's been playing well against tight ends, but it's like Mark Andrews, he's kind of matchup independent because he's really more of a wide receiver playing tight end, and he is pretty explosive. And you never really want to count him out. Like every time he has a quiet game or two, like I think Brown and Andrews, even though it's like a tough matchup, don't sleep on those guys because Marquise Brown with that Soldiers Instagram post or whatever. Why have these soldiers if you ain't gonna use them? Like I think that's all him and Mark Andrews, who just get heavy targets this game after you had like Willie Snead and Duvernay and Boykin caught a touchdown. I mean, this is the perfect blow up spot in a tough matchup where you get low ownership in DFS for Brown and Andrews. So going over, I have it at 48.
I am also taking the over. I have it around 52. So, Sean,
good luck with that, guys.
Yeah,
I'll take the under. But I think that the takeaway this week with Kittle out, I mean, is if Travis Kelce just stays healthy the rest of the year, he's a league-winning pick. It's becoming pretty clear. just because he's so much above and beyond all these guys. And, Mark Andrews, unfortunately, hasn't stepped up. So I just think the takeaway this week for me is Kelsey is a league winner.